everybody. Welcome to another sensational session of Strike a Chord Live podcast with my dear brother, Collin Harbour. He's right there in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. I'm Marcus Ellis. I'm here in Pensacola, Florida. Collin, why don't you tell him who we are?
We are two lifelong friends with a love of baseball, music, motivation, and inspiration mixed with a little bit of nostalgia, culture, transformation, and fun. And we want you to take the journey with us.
This is Strike a Chord Live podcast.
Sorry. What's going on?
Does it sound like a warbly merry-go-round to you, the music?
No, it sounded a little muffled, but I don't know that it sounded like a merry-go-round.
Well, good morning, Collin. Good morning, everybody. What is happening? Today is May 10th, 2023, and welcome to another sensational session of the Strike a Chord Live podcast. Collin, what's going on in Dallas today in your world?
Not much. I cannot ever seem to get my camera straight. So that kind of makes me mad.
You know, the other funny thing about the camera, and people listen on this on replay, who we appreciate and will acknowledge in a second. I'm sorry for this kind of stuff, but I never know whether to go left or right to get centered. You know,
that's the most confusing thing. I've been working on that for years, and I haven't figured it out yet. Yeah.
Well, we do want to.
I don't know. I mean, like I'm scratching the right side of my face, but it's on the left side. And you think after a couple of years I would figure that out.
The human brain cannot.
We're trying to get the hat straight. I mean, it's just crazy.
Well, good morning, Summer Star, Peggy Gossman. We see you here. Thank you for being on live. And we want to thank you if you're watching or listening on the replay. As the kids say, #replay. We appreciate you guys. Man, we've got a really strong session for you today. I don't know why I just said tomorrow, but let's get going, Collin. So, hey, have you ever gone, man, I wish I hadn't quit doing that, or I wish I would have kept that up, or I wish I would have done that? You know, is there anything that you have, not regrets, not necessarily maybe, but have you ever done anything or have you ever not done something that you wanted to accomplish and you could have,
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. I've been thinking about that since we talked about this, and I think you've posed that question in different forums, if you will, but yeah, I mean, there's probably a lot of things, I wanted to be a pro basketball player, like you said. I think, I wanted to be, I don't know. How about running for political office? Actually, that would be horrible. Ooh. I don't know why anybody would do that, but.
Ooh. Yeah, well, I don't know. That's a good one, but
change the system.
Really though? Really?
I don't know.
I mean, I'd still do want to change the system, Did we talk about Rage Against the Machine the other day?
We did. We talked. Yeah, we sure did.
Still on a kick, still on a kick. But, I did post this, pose this question on a post in Facebook yesterday, and it was very cool. I mean, there's a brother of mine, Brian Lowry, who I'm we appreciate your service, sir. He's still in the military, but he said he wished he would have gone out for the Golden Knight paratroopers. And I was like, man, that's so cool. That's such a cool thing. I mean, I want to jump out of a plane. Do you want to jump out of a plane?
I do not want to jump out of a plane. That is not on my list. I don't care to do that. If I do that, it's because the plane's going down and it is literally a last ditch effort. And probably what I'll do is I'll wait until the plane gets really close to the ground, and then I'll jump out at the last second to see if that works.
I don't think it works that way, but
that's my emergency plan though. Every time I fly, I go through it in my mind. This is what's going to happen as the plane's on the way down with, no engines or whatever. Last second, jump out.
That's hilarious.
You don't think it'll work that way?
No. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I have a parental figure, like a man who I grew up with in my neighborhood, who was a paratrooper, and he used to run. I think he just retired running parachute things, but I think his parachute didn't open like 4 times, and he learned how to glide and roll and just break things and still survive.
Like you glide to the ground and then you roll on the ground. Like
Yeah, he survived 4 parachutes that did not open.
see, I
Captain Jim.
don't want to go that way, So
Yeah.
anyway, no, I don't want to jump out of a plane, a helicopter. I don't want to jump off the side of a mountain. I don't want to do any of those things.
Well, I wanted to be a pro baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first dream in life as a kid. And you and I were both really good at sports. I'm just going to say it. We had skills. My baseball skills increased as I got older. I wasn't very good at first, and then it kind of increased from there. But my size, my stature didn't allow me to do that. Right? I didn't grow. I'm a little guy. So I gave that up. And then I guess, the one thing that I wanted to do that I feel like I didn't, I'm doing right now, and that's become a rock star. I wanted to be like a worldwide rock star though. But I'm a regional rock star, and that's cool. But yesterday, a lot of people said, I wish I had learned to play guitar. And here's the point and the takeaway of this session of Strike a Chord Live podcast is there are so many things that you wish that you would have done that you can still do. That you can do right now. You can pick up a guitar or bass or drums or whatever it is. You can still do as long as you have, control of your faculties, man. It's never too late. Look at us. I mean, I was 49 when I changed careers. I'd been in the pro audio, music, lighting, video space for nearly 30 years. Since the early 90s, for nearly 30 years. And I just said, you know what? I'm making a career change. So the point being is it's never too late to start to do something that you've always wanted to do. And Megan DiMartino one time, I think the only time that she ever kind of ate my lunch is when I said, I think I'm too old to do that. And she said, don't you dare ever say that again. And I love her for telling me that,
Well, she was older when she did some stuff, and as we know from one of our YouTube videos, that she was female, obviously,
right.
and
She still is,
and she still is, and she had to borrow money, and she had some problems borrowing money to start her business. Right now, people on YouTube think that that's ridiculous, that there's no way anybody was ever discriminated against, female or anything, according to all the comments we got. But the point is, sometimes not only do you just do it if you get to a certain age, but you also sometimes you just got to do it. You just got to you got to swing. You've got to go for it. A lot of people will say something like, well, I wanted to write a book. It is easier to write a book now than ever, or you could self-publish. You could self-publish a book. You can, do all of these things.
Hey, I want to take a deviation from that. Did you know that, let's say you use Arthur Harold, that you use Chat GPT to write a book? Did you know that there's a way that they can tell? There's some sort of algorithm that they can tell.
Yeah,
So I'm once again, writing a chapter in the second edition of The Joyful Entrepreneur. I think I'm going to do every one of them. It's a series kind of like Chicken Soup for the Soul. But if you haven't checked it out, check out The Joyful Entrepreneur. I wrote a chapter in it with a bunch of beautiful people last year. I'm going to do it again. So I never thought I would be an author, but now I'm an Amazon best-selling author. And this book, when it comes out, man, it's going to be even bigger. So I'm not going to blow the lid off what we're going to do, but there's some exciting things we're going to do. So I never thought I would be an author. I'm now an author. But you mentioned politics. Is that still something that's interesting to you? Like going into politics?
No.
Really? Like not even on the local level?
No.
Right. I get it. Because I'm considering in a year or so running for the district around here. I've never wanted.
I mean, like city council or like school district?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, the city council for my district.
Well, have fun with all that.
I was going to challenge you to run for your city council while I did and make me do it. You're like, no way. I mean, we can make a change though. You can make a change. you know.
Oh, no, thank you.
Well,
I'll do other things. You do that.
That just, and real quick, I see a bunch of beautiful comments from people. I'd love to comment to you, but it just says Facebook user. If you're on Facebook, you need to give StreamYard permission for us to see who you are. So, you know, somebody says, I'm doing grounding listening to you guys. We love you. Thank you for that. And I'll come back and see who it is. But somebody said my client, Alan Reisman, won a city council seat. That's awesome. Point being, you can still do many of those things. You're not too old. It's not, the time has not passed you by. But if you sit there and wait on the couch with Cheetos on your chest, it's Michael Huey. I see Michael Huey. Love you, bro. Good to see you. Man, the time is now. Go do it. Whatever that is, go do that thing. You know, man, I'm going to run a half marathon. I just said it. You've done it. You're a marathon runner.
I did it a long time ago, much younger than 50. I think it was 20 years ago. You know, I think it was around, yeah, it was a long time ago.
Are you going to do it again?
No. Well, I mean, primarily because my knee, I mean, like, I know it sounds like I'm making an excuse.
No.
I couldn't run 13. I couldn't run 1 mile on my knees. So I've been doing a lot of walking. I've got to get to the gym. I've got to start doing some muscle rebuilding and other stuff like that. But yeah, no, I don't have any. Well, I'd love to run a half marathon again, but I don't really have any interest in doing that, if it makes sense.
Well, I'm going to do it. It's going to take a little bit. I'm going to get my dear brother Nate Forrest over in Las Vegas to help me out on the training side of that. It's not going to be this year, I don't think, but we'll do that. But how can we encourage people, Collin? How can we motivate people to get up off the couch, to roll up the Cheeto bag, put it back in the pantry, and get out there and do that thing that they always wanted to do, that they think time's passing by, they can't do it? Now, there's certain things that we just can't do. I can't join the military, right? I can't. I'm 50 years old. It's just not in. There's certain things that you can't do because time has passed you by, but there's a multitude, there's a plethora of things that you can do that you always want to do. If you want to start a business and you think you're too old, I'm calling bullocks on that, Collin.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. So, and I have to be a little bit careful here. Gary Vaynerchuk, we talk about him from time to time. Somebody asked him, what are 4 words? You know, what are 4 words that you can use to motivate people or something like that? And he said, well, you're going to blanking die. That's motivation to get things done. You're going to die. And his point was, look, life is short. You're only here for so long. You don't have eternity. You may have eternity, but you don't have eternity to do things that you might want to accomplish here. You're going to die. So if you have something you want to do, you might want to get started at it. Well,
didn't we do a session on that? Like, hey, guess what? You're going to die. Yeah, we did. And the point being is that, you know, what was the days of our lives? Like the sand through the hourglass of time. You know,
sand rolls through the hourglass or something like that. Yeah.
Like sand through the hourglass, I think it was. And so the sand is, you know, it's falling, man. The time is going by. We've got to get on our horse, man. I'm using so many analogies. It's funny. We got to get on our horse and we got to get going. That thing that you always want. If a lot of people put in the comments yesterday or the post I had that they wanted to play guitar, go to the guitar store, buy $100 guitar. If you need somebody to help finding lessons or a good tutorial, I can help you, but go play guitar, right? That reminds me of that great John Cougar Mellencamp song, Play Guitar, but we won't quote that here because it's a cuss word in it, but it was a big deal when we were kids off the Scarecrow record. But Bruce Pulver says, change is such timely and powerful perspective that any time, but especially today. My father would say a rut is a grave with the ends knocked out. Wow, that's pretty good. Let's see where to go. Change not for change's sake, but to improve and find better ways that fit the times. Change. Could, the C in change, could, H, have, A, awesome, N, new, G, growth, E, experience. Change. Could have awesome new growth experiences. Boom, mic drop. See you later.
But you know, the fear, I think, is a great, a great point. We've kind of alluded to that. And then, change just for change's sake and fear. And how do you overcome these things? I mean, I don't like, if you just want to learn to play the guitar, that's a pretty simple one, right? Maybe you don't have enough money to get a guitar, but put a little bit of money back, go to the pawn shop. We still have pawn shops, right?
We do. We
a
do.
guitar at the pawn shop. Open up your computer, watch a YouTube video and watch it over and over again while you're strumming the guitar. There's way to do that, right? We talked, one of the examples I gave earlier was writing a book, and it's challenging, and it's there's a lot of things that go with it. I hate to steal one from Nike. Sometimes you just got to do it. Just do it,
Man.
right? Just do the things. And then, what do you think? Yeah, run a half marathon is probably a good one, right? Or run a 10K. What do you think are some sing on stage, right? There's a lot of different things. Acting. There's adult acting classes. People will say, well, I've always wanted to act. I've always wanted to be in a play. I've always wanted to be in a production.
There's a great
adult acting classes.
Yeah, well, we have the Pensacola Little Theater here where you can go do that, right? Mm-hmm. And I see in the comments the people that are commenting that I can't see, but my dear sister Mandolin Harris, she is. You'll have to drop it, Mandolin, in the comments or somewhere if you would on what you're doing on your modeling. But she's modeling and doing something that she always wanted to do. She's in a contest, so drop it in the contest so everybody can vote for Mandolin. But she's doing that thing that she always wanted to do. But let's look at it from a service aspect. I've always wanted to go do a Habitat for Humanity thing and build a house. Well, go do it. I've always wanted to volunteer at a soup kitchen. Do it. There's so many acts of service that you can do, right? That things that we've always wanted to do. You can go out and serve people in so many different ways. Just do it, like you said. I mean, Bo knows.
I'm listening to a podcast about the founding of Nike, which is why that was on my mind. Do you know the lady who created the logo for Nike? I'm sorry.
Come on. This is great. Come on.
I think he paid her $35 for it because it was $2 and it was paying her $2 an hour. And she was like, well, I think it's been 17 and a half hours. Now, this is the podcast version of it. So
right.
$35. Now, several years later, he actually gave her 500 shares of Nike stock and like a golden diamond with the Nike swoop on it. Phil Knight rewarded her later, but like the transaction, she was doing a side gig.
Right.
Back in the early 70s, a side hustle, and she came up with the logo and got $35 for it, which was $2 an hour for 17 hours, basically.
Wow. Well, yeah, to really go down the rabbit hole. Do you remember Phil Hartman, the comedian Phil Hartman?
Do.
Okay. This is crazy. Phil Hartman, before he got into acting, was a graphic designer, and he designed the Crosby, Stills and Nash logo that you see everywhere. He designed a bunch of logos for a bunch of rock bands out of LA. And that was his thing. But then he said, man, this isn't what I want to do. I want to be a comedian. I want to be an actor, and switch careers in the middle of his life.
That's a great example of what we're talking about, right? I know, it was a bad stuff, but Phil Hartman, who's a funny guy, we wouldn't have seen him. We wouldn't have, if he didn't decide to pursue what he was doing and not just sit back and stick with what he was doing, right?
And that strikes a chord with me. That brings up such a great point, Collin. What are you denying other people by not going for that thing that you wanted to do? Had Phil Hartman not done that, we wouldn't have had so many laughs and good times. I mean, I don't know about you, but we were all big Pee Wee Herman fans back in the day, and Captain Carl was like part of that, and it was really funny. So that's on a superficial level, but let's talk about it on a real level. That thing that you are not doing, you may be denying somebody some joy or some grace or some relief by not going after that thing, right?
Yeah, it's the old sand dollar on the beach. They're walking around and the kids throwing in the shells and all that stuff. What's that?
Yeah, I love that story.
And throwing them in the water, and the dad says, "What are you doing that? You can't possibly put all of these back in the water." and the kid picks one up and puts it in the water and says, well, I helped that one, right?
Yep.
So you can have an impact on one person. I butchered the story,
No, you
quite
didn't.
certain, but you can have an impact on one person, and you are, yeah. If you have a book to write, if you have music to create, if you have other things, I guess one of my big things would be I want to learn how to cook really good, or to
Man,
be like a competition level barbecuer,
well,
smoker.
okay, so really quickly, I was communicating with our brother Terrence Elmore, who was on here. He now has a barbecue YouTube page, so we're
Okay.
gonna have to check that out. But yeah, I mean, so why? So what's stopping you from taking cooking classes, or something? What's stopping you from becoming that
Yeah, I
chef?
guess time, and again, it's going to be excuse. It's going to be the same excuse that everybody says about everything.
Yeah,
It's
come on.
time right now. It's oh well, I'm busy with the kids after school, right? Which I am.
Right,
I'm busy with my business, which I am.
right,
And then it's money. Oh, things are slow right now. I can't pay a couple $100 for a class and commit to 4 weekends in a row, or and all the same things that everybody else says, right?
right.
Which are excuses. They may even be legitimate excuses, but I've wanted to do this for years. So why didn't I do it when in the ebb and flow of things? Why didn't
Well, the
I work
question
it
is,
in?
how important is that to you to make it happen? That's the
Yeah,
question
maybe
we
it's not
pose
that
to
important. Maybe I like eating crappy food. I don't know.
everybody. Well, just as we're talking, I saw a comment pop up on that post I had, and it said, travel and live in another country. That is easily accomplishable, right? I mean, that's something that you can do. So, yeah, do you have to plan for it? Okay. Do you have to save up for it? Okay. But make a plan, go for it, and do that thing. We're go ahead. I see you're about to say something.
Well, I was going to say, I read an article recently about like the cheaper countries to travel to in Europe. So like you could travel to Romania as opposed to Paris. You can travel. There are certain countries that are easier, that are lower cost. Now, I guess you might not want to get too close to Ukraine and some of those areas right now, but yeah, there's other things you could do.
Yeah, I mean that to travel and live in another country. I mean that would be really cool. That's something that have you ever? How many times you've been out of the country?
Not counting Mexico, just once, one trip in my MBA. No, I take that back. We went to Costa Rica for my MBA, and then we went to
Right.
Europe for my MBA. So yeah.
Yeah, I've only been to Mexico, but all right. So Summer Star dropped the link, and so did Mandolin to vote for her on her competition, on her modeling competition. So please hit that link and vote for her on that because it's very important. She's doing that thing that she always wanted to do, right? And that's the point that it's never too late. You're not too old. You can always do. I mean, Collin wants to be a chef. I'm just going to say it in his house, right? He can do that. He can look at, man, we have so many avenues, so many different ways to learn how to do these things. I mean, when Collin and I were growing up, we had the old rotary dial phone, and we didn't even have the cordless phones, and we didn't have the YouTubes. And you know what we had? The Encyclopedia Britannica.
That's right. We had this Encyclopedia Britannica, Mark's swimming pool, and Spanish Trail, and that's
That's
where we.
right.
But we
Spanish.
also had the Pensacola Beach, but
Yes, yes. So you can do anything. You have I'm trying to look for a word, but I can't figure out the word. But there are so many places that you can go out there and find out how to do these things. If you want to write a book, write a book. If you want to run a marathon, run a marathon. If you want to be a triathlete, do that. It doesn't have to be physical fitness. It doesn't have, if you want, somebody said, I would love to sing on stage. Well, go downtown and jump on stage with somebody and sing. It's not, it's not that difficult. Of course, you need to ask first. I've actually ejected people from the stage with my microphone stand before. That was fun. Not to try to hurt anybody, but just make sure they didn't hurt me. But you can do that thing you always wanted to do if you put your mind to it, and if it's that important to you.
yeah, no, there's no doubt. I'm sorry, I can't get over the Encyclopedia Britannica comment. Do you not like when my parents got their set of Encyclopedia Britannica, how happy I was? Like I was
Me
I
too.
thought we had made it in the world because we had our own Encyclopedia Britannica set.
You did. I mean, it was the same thing in our house. I mean, it had the gold, on the outside of it, not
Yeah,
the
I mean, it
lining
was
side.
we were like in the elite of the elite,
And those
the
things were scattered all
society.
over the house.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well have been the Kennedys when we got the Encyclopedia Britannica set. So
That's great. So I think it's Michael Huey says, God will guide you, trust in him. So yeah, that's a really great point. If there's something you want to do, pray about it. Pray about it, or pray, that if you don't know, if you feel like you want to make an impact on the world and you don't know what it is, I was there. Collin was there. Pray about it. Figure it out. God will help you. He will show you who to serve. I pray for that every day. Show me who to serve today. Right. So really, this is about service in my aspect, in my estimation. How could you serve others in a way that you thought you couldn't do? The easiest thing to do, and we've talked about it before, is just sit down and let somebody talk to you and listen and don't say another word unless they ask for your advice.
yeah, the interesting thing too is you mentioned service, and I know you weren't saying it from a business standpoint, but I just
Right.
read an influencer on LinkedIn yesterday talking about the best sales plan in the world is just, particularly if you're a solopreneur or an
Right.
entrepreneur or solo entrepreneur, someone in business for yourself, is just to ask when you're talking to somebody, just to ask them how you can help them.
Yeah.
Most people will say no, but one out of whatever will eventually say, oh, you can help me with this. And then they'll pay you to help them with that. Right.
No, I love that. And
Similar. That's more business oriented. I get that, but it's very similar to the service aspect and the giving of others. And sometimes you ask how you can help somebody, you never know what it might lead to, I guess is my point.
I mean, in my business, I help people every time. I help people who are having trouble selling their house, or people who are in a really stressful situation. And you can see it right there. I buy houses for cash. Shameless plug. If you need help, I will help you. And if I was talking with the people I'm helping now. If we don't walk away hugging and smiling and telling each other that we love each other, we're not doing the deal, right? So what I do in my business is help folks get out from under a stressful situation by helping them with their house. I mean, it could be, they're tax delinquent or code violations or divorce or inheritance or whatever. I help people in my business. And, our last session, we talked about that is, helping people instead of hurting people in your business, right? So when I was at my former job, it's pro audio, video, and lighting. I knew that the loudspeakers that I was designing to have put into that system were going to broadcast God's word in a house of worship. And I knew that was helping people, right? So I knew that what I was doing in business was helping somebody. So if you want to start a business, if you say, oh, I want to start a mobile recycling business, or I want to help working mothers by taking care of their kids or whatever, start that business now, because you'll be helping somebody. If you don't, you'll be denying somebody the relief and the grace that they deserve.
Mobile recycling business.
I just made that up.
Oh, that was pretty good on the fly.
Yeah. I mean, it's that conduit between the big man and me. It comes down, another thing, a lot of people are going back to cloth diapers. You could have a cloth diaper service. Those still exist, believe it or not. People don't want to do, the Pampers thing. They don't want to do the plastic. Look at you.
That would have been awful. Yeah, that would have been horrible. Oh,
you don't want to pick up poopy cloth diapers?
Oh.
Yeah. Well, here's a news flash. You and I didn't have Pampers. You and I were brought up with cloth diapers. Our parents.
Yeah, I don't know. That's disgusting. Hey, somebody put in the Bible verse, or the Bible verses, faith without works is dead. And I know that that's very controversial for some people, because, faith obviously is the most important thing. And I think, the purpose of that verse in the Bible is that, look, if you're not helping, I mean, yeah, you've got faith. That's great. And yeah, faith is enough. But if you really have faith in God, in Jesus, then why wouldn't you help others, right? Why then is it really, is it really a true faith if you're not doing what Jesus did, right? I think is ultimately what that.
Well, and Summer said, I just read all of James 2 nights ago. Man, James is my favorite book in the Bible, especially James 1, 2-8. I love that. Those are my favorite verses. Go look it up. But yeah, man, you're so right. You can have faith, but if you don't do anything, if you sit on your hands, that's that old parable where the guy, there's a storm or whatever, and the guy's about to drown, and he's like, God, please save me from the drowning. And friends drive up a car. Come on. He's like, no, God's got me. He's going to save me. And then, the water rises and the guy comes by in a boat and he says, hey, come on. It's like, no, God's going to take care of me. Then he gets on the roof and a helicopter comes. And the next thing he knows, he's in heaven. He said, what's up, God? I asked you to help me. He's like, I sent you a car. I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. Faith without works is dead. You gotta move. You gotta do it. Right.
Yeah, no doubt. And that example you just gave, I've thought about that actually literally just this week, and
nice.
Is applicable in a couple of things. So it's funny that you mentioned that, but yeah, sometimes things are right in front of us, right? And we overlook them.
Oh man, that's a whole session right there. Write that down. Right there. That's a whole session right there. It's right there in front of you. You just have to look, and don't be afraid. Do it. Right? Do it afraid. Michael Huey says, I think that's him. Don't be afraid. Let's move. Let's motivate. Be happy. Do that thing. If you wanted to be a tennis player, go play tennis.
Yeah. And there is a Facebook user that says it's been a while since they've been here. And again, we don't know who it is right now because of the
StreamYard thing. Y'all have to grant StreamYard permission. But all we're saying, the key takeaway is we're encouraging you. It's not too late to do that thing. I mean, what would be really cool is to be on the senior circuit of professional golf. I haven't picked up a golf club in a long time, but that would be really cool. Let's go for that.
Yeah, that still is pretty demanding, and not picking up a golf club in a long time. There are a lot of people who have played a lot of golf the last 10 to 15 years who are saying the same thing about, ooh, I want to be on the senior tour. Those guys are still pretty dang good.
Oh yeah,
and
they beat you.
Yeah,
they beat. So, all right, give them a takeaway, Collin. Go for it.
Well, why do I have to do the takeaway? No, honestly, let me buy myself enough time. Oh, how about Bruce saving the day? I act on. Thank you. I act on. All you have to do is change the words, as he would say. You take the word action, you take the letter I, and act, and you flip them. I act on. And it's really more about action, right? It is about action, but it's you deciding that you are going to take an action on something that you've wanted to do for a long time, right? And maybe if it costs money, you do have to save for it. Maybe it's going to be hard, right? Me playing a guitar would be hard. I always had a hard time. I don't really want to play the guitar, but the point is, it may be difficult, but do it. And I'll remind you what Gary Vaynerchuk said, and what I agree with is, you're going to die.
Yep.
I hate to say it. You're going to die, and you're going to get to the end of your life, and you're going to think, man, I wish I would have done these 3 things.
Here's your takeaway. No regrets, y'all. No regrets. Don't regret that thing. Now, there's certain things that you can't do, biologically, or like I can't join the military now because I'm 50. There's certain things, but there are so many more things that you can do. And that was perfect right there, Collin.
Oh, well, thank you, Mark. You put me on the spot.
I like putting you on the spot. So real quick, before we go, something we haven't done. Summer, we see you. I love you. Michael Kenyon, he finally signed up. Love you, bro. Good to see you. Of course, Bruce Pulver. Hey, Bruce, want to come on Friday? No pressure. I just thought of that. Peggy Gossman, we love you. Good to see you. Bunch of Facebook users. I know Ryan Gallagher's in there somewhere here, and I dearly love him. But yeah, that looks like it signed up. So thank you guys so much for being here with us on this session of Strike a Chord Live podcast. We can't wait to see you guys on Friday. We can't wait to see you do that thing that you wanted to do. Bruce Pulver wanted to write a book. He wrote a book. He wanted to be a TEDx talker. He's a TEDx talker. He went out and did it. And now Collin and I are going to be on the Southeast tour with Bruce Pulver, speaking tour. We're going to tandem. This is that thing that we want to do. We're going to be on stage together doing this live and in person. We'll show you the date soon. You're going to have to save it and come see us. But yeah, man, I love this session. This is really helped me out.
Yeah, no, this was good.
It was real good.
Good topic, Mark.
Right.
Way to come up with a good topic.
Well, the good Lord provides, right? All right, we'll see you guys on Friday. Have a wonderful day. We love you guys. Peace and chicken grease on this side. Good day, everybody. Welcome.
Whoa, I think that's the wrong cue.
Bye, y'all.